assistant fire chief, our police chief, and they're arranging some classes. Looks like there are like 2 or 3 students along with Dr. Dupree who wants to help with that, because we've got a Spanish-speaking community, and just like we had to address them up front where Ms. Cortez and sometimes Mr. Silver and Mr. Eric help, we also have that situation where our first responders are going out if they can't communicate with the people. So they're excited about that, and those meetings are supposed to start taking place, if not this week, next week. The city's 50th anniversary, we've been attending those meetings, looking forward to the parade on Saturday and the community barbecue. Also had, in addition to the regular meetings, several meetings with various chairs to try to assist them with that process as well. Attended the Smart City Convention in Denver. I was asked to speak on a community partners panel, and then when they found out I was coming, they added me to a mayor's panel. So I actually went up there and wound up doing a lot more work than I had planned to. But one of the benefits that's coming from that is Stockholm, Sweden is interested in becoming a sister city with the city of Prairie View. So that's a real positive thing, but there was a lot of technology, particularly to assist city operations, that was of interest with me, and there's several people that, some of them I've heard from already, but we're looking to get back and see how we can upgrade our processes here to make it better, simpler, more technology advanced for our residents and people out of the area where they won't have to get, a fax or wait on a mail or have to come in to do something. Again, something that a lot of cities are doing and in the process of becoming a smart city. The blessing was that they not only paid the $795 registration by the National Science Foundation, the US Ignite paid a $910 stipend to cover my hotel expenses as well, since they were bringing me up there as a speaker. So the farmers market, working with the city and the College of Agriculture, been to several meetings, and it looks like the initial location will be at the Bistro, right on the edge of campus, and then we'll later look out and see how it can expand from there. But they're looking at growing things on the acreage at the College of Agriculture, as well as trying to do some things in the city once they can obtain viable land. The Houston Mayor Turner is hosting the African American Mayors Conference, and several months ago he asked me to co-host that with him. So that'll be the last week of, or second to the last week of April. That'll be on the 23rd, 24th, those type of days. Had a meeting with some of the owners, managers of Brookside Apartments. They had some concerns, and the city has some concerns, so we're working to see how we can work with, assist, support them. The retention pond next to them, waiting to confirm, but if that is indeed property that's not owned by any of them and maybe by the Chevron owners, then from a city standpoint, ordinance violations, again, just trying to get these things cleaned up as they're brought to our attention and to assist our residents and business people at the same time. As Public Works Director daily, dealing with our guys, sometimes going out to assist them in some of the decisions they have to make, and property that, new connections and those sorts of things, or sometimes just even in picking up the supplies and discussing what might be the best way for us to take care of that. Even on the permit applications, just trying to review each project location and making sure that they're building in areas that are zoned for what they're building, because those decisions would have been made prior to me, but to make sure our zoning laws along with our ordinances are enforced. From a resident standpoint, not only daily calls, sometimes emails, but we do have situations with everything from water bills, as you heard earlier today, and things that do need to be addressed. But again, some of these things, as was stated, took place prior to me, and we're just trying to get through them, working with people on payment plan and treating all the residents equally as best we can. The planning and zoning, actually had to look at trying to get someone to help me locate the upcoming April 18th meeting for zoning requests and be getting back with you on that. But Attorney Zach has shared with me that's a serious process that we've had some issues with, and some of the things we were doing wasn't quite where we need to be, but we're working on correcting those things. So that's it for the main report. Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Rowland?
You referenced, Ms. Public Works permits, and you referenced Ms. Manuel's situation. Can you update council on what she brought as her concerns, or what is our process for citizens who have a discrepancy with Public Works or billing, water bill? What is that? Do we have a documented process? Has she followed this process, or is it only been word of mouth like she described? And then my second question, I don't know if this is again, I don't know if this is the time to talk about it. I guess we do have some staff here, but maybe not in your report, we could put it on for the next meeting. But do we, if there was she kept saying she had a payment plan that she had paid off or had with a former mayor, and did the payment plan change? Is she not pay, or again, I guess to answer the first question is, do we have a documented process where a person can express their complaints, or is it just back and forth hearsay?
Point of order before we get into that. I think if we're gonna talk about individuals, or an individual person or scenario, that needs to be either a private conversation, or now if we want to talk about process, I think we need to put that on the agenda to discuss the process, but I think going into the detail of that.
It's not on the agenda. It's nowhere on the agenda.
Well, regarding the process in attempting to answer your question, yes, there is a process, and no, it wasn't followed. And what I would do, because it was articulated to council, and obviously there was some, say, potential personality with me, I would encourage and see which council would like to get with the complainant, and then bring that information back in case there's some things that we can improve on from a public works standpoint, since that's part of the things in my agenda. Would anyone volunteer to get with her?
If you give me her personal information, I'll do it, or a phone number where I can contact her.
Okay, Ms. Durham will make sure Councilman Randall gets that. Councilman Jones, you have a question?
You had stated that you met with Brookside upon their retention pond. May I ask, what is the difference between theirs and Panther Hills?
Brookside doesn't have a retention pond, so no, I didn't meet with them on that.
So what did you meet with Brookside about? You said that you seen the little lake behind there, and if no one owned it, then, so what's the difference between that and what Panther Hill has?
Well, one is full of trash and tires, and it's falling apart. It's a hazard near where a lot of people park at, and the other is not. But they just, again, in my meeting with them, which is on the agenda, I met with Brookside Apartments.
Right, except,
Yeah.
y'all,
Can't go into this
I-
specific.
I'm just gonna ask y'all this question, okay? And then y'all ask you, then y'all do me a favor, moving forward, ask yourself this question before you ask questions. If someone read this agenda where it said Brookside Apartments owners meeting, would the public know that you were gonna have a discussion about a detention pond located somewhere else?
Good point. We'll move the agenda.
That's all I
Thanks,
ask.
Council. No, it's a good point. Councilwoman Williams.
And I just wanted to say that it might be a good idea if two people work with Ms. Manuel or any resident that complains, because we already see it's back and forth. So one person, one other person going back and forth might not be a good idea, so maybe two people could help out with the situation.
Good point. Can we get a second person volunteer to work, Councilman Randall? Okay, Councilman Williams. Councilman Jones?
Would it be okay if I, request the reports upon the permit applications? Attorney Zip?
Yeah, this says permit applications, review project and location and sign each. I quite honestly don't even know what that means. So what was,
He said, the mayor stated
I
that he.
suppose if you have questions about the permit applications that he reviewed, that would be appropriate.
Thank you.
You have a question?
So, next meeting in our packet, can we get a report upon all the permit applications that you have reviewed?
Okay, Ms. Johnson, would you have Ms. Cortez print that report? And we'll insert it in council's packets. One thing, in finishing my report, what I'd like to give council is a map that the Texas Department of Transportation drew on the proposed frontage roads from James Muse Parkway to Leendo Parkway, so that you could see what those discussions, and I just got this, I don't know, maybe a couple of days late last week, but I did want to give that to you so that, you know, whatever input, I don't know what's gonna come from the grant, but even if this is something that happens down the road, it's basically to do two things. One is the emergency that's created when when 290 floods under University Drive. Ms. Johnson, could this be on council? I'm sorry.
What, I'm sorry, Mayor, where is this located on the agenda?
This is under the U.S. Department of Commerce grant that's discussed, got several lines under my report, the emergency funds application. This is what it's actually gonna look like. This is the map of
Okay.
what we're trying to get the grant to cover.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Rowland?
Going in your report, again, I just wanted to make sure, I know we said that 2 council members are going to look to speak with Ms. Manuel about her issue. My simple question was about the process, and so we have had, you know, in the past, we've had refunds, and I just wanted to, do we have to make sure that our process is updated and clearly stated to citizens in the community in reference to when they have issues with the water bill. Can you tell us what that process is?
Well, it's my understanding, Ms. Durham, are we not doing the same thing that's been going on for the last 18 years, process-wise?
If a person comes in
And I'm sorry, but process-wise, okay, so we're doing the same thing we've been doing since you've been sitting on the
But
council.
this question is not a question for me, Mr. Mayor. The question is for the citizens who are in the audience, who would like to know the process. So stop talking about I've been up here for 8 years. You're the mayor. The question is on you.
That's right.
The question is simply, if a citizen has a complaint about a water bill, what's their process and who's their contact? Don't tell me how long I've been up here.
Okay, since it's not on the agenda, we won't get into the actual process. Item 7, discuss and take action on the cancellation of the city council meeting for April 22nd due to early voting. The early voting will start in this room the 22nd, I think through the 26th. And council last year, because of the equipment being set up, especially this year, we won't be overseeing it. Waller County Elections will be overseeing it. And their plan is to come in, set it up, and leave it every night until the election, at least the early election is over. Councilman Jones?
Oh, this year we're not gonna have 2 days of voting on campus?
Yeah, this is still a voting location as well,
Was it not previous that for 2 days it's on campus and then the rest of the week is here, or it's always been at both locations?
Well, right now, in trying to stick with,
But that
Well,
has,
we're-
No, that's a legitimate question.
that has
I mean,
something to do with,
okay, then I don't know. What do you, if you're looking at something,
It's,
My guess is you're gonna hold early voting here the whole time.
Right.
That's my guess.
So that's a no for early voting being on campus.
There was a schedule presented to council, wasn't there, early voting or voting on
yes, we
council?
have amended, notice for election. We're gonna have, I think it's posted on the website as well.
But wasn't that presented to council a meeting or two ago? They voted, they were presented the schedule, no?
No, we didn't vote on no schedule.
Wasn't it in the contract with the Waller County Elections Office?
No, we didn't vote on the schedule. We didn't say what 2 days was voting gonna be on campus. So I don't think it's fair for us to cancel a date if we don't know what days the voting is gonna take place. And you say why? Because if that Monday and Tuesday, like it was the past, I wanna say 2 years, is on campus, then we can still have our city council meeting and take care of city business.
Well, this room will be full of election equipment.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Rowland.
I will say that we're supposed to have it at both locations. I think this item is reference to, are we gonna have a city council meeting in this room?
That's it.
With everything we have going on and everything we've been talking about, we do need to have a meeting. And so, Mr. Mayor, I move that we, well, we're just gonna take it from cancel. It says cancellation, so I can move to just keep our,
Yeah, you don't have to do you don't have to do
Yeah.
anything.
I move that we keep our April 22nd meeting here in the city of Prairie View on the third Monday.
It's been probably moved and seconded that the city council meeting for April 22nd remain as normally scheduled. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions?
Okay.
Councilman Randall?
So, in the 6 years that I've been up here, we've never had a meeting on the day of early voting. And the reason for that being because they have to take everything out to set up all of the voting machines. And so what we're telling them is they're gonna have to take all of the machines out and then bring them back in. So I want us to understand the purpose of why we've canceled the meeting in the past. And so, look, and now it's different because we have outside people coming in here, running our elections, and we're gonna ask them to, well, mind you, voting goes on doesn't go on until 7 o'clock?
7.
So our meeting will start at 6, so they can't,
No, it won't.
logistically.
We're not gonna move voting
Right,
the voting will go on in
logistically,
here in this
you
room until 7
We
o'clock.
can't have a meeting in here logistically unless we push the meeting back to 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
And even after, you have to consider the viability, the retaining of the voting equipment, even after they're gone. This stuff is still here. And I don't know, Councilman Jones?
I'll let Ms. Williams go first.
Councilwoman Williams?
I agree with Councilman Miranda. I don't think we need to have a meeting because last month we had a meeting and nobody showed up because it was PV Day in Austin, Texas. So I'm not understanding what's the big issue now. And now it's an election. So why would we have a meeting?
Councilman Jones?
My whole point to having the meeting is because you see that we have more development and more business coming in, but we still don't have a building official. And so we can't move the moratorium to, well, I don't feel comfortable voting for that, if we still don't have a building official and things get done in the city. And is there no way for us to have a city council meeting at a different location besides City Hall?
So I wanna make sure, we do have a building official. Y'all voted to hire Bureau Veritas as a building official, so you have a building official.
Which is,
No, we was waiting on the numbers. That's what we was asking for. That's why we got an email to put it back on this week because we didn't get the numbers for 2 days.
I can go back to the original time it was on the agenda and show you minutes where y'all approved it.
We approved to have a building
Yes, you
official.
approved to hire Bureau Veritas as your building official. Yes, sir.
we
Which
didn't
is-
approve to lift the moratorium.
Yeah, you just have not moved to lift the moratorium yet. But you approved the building official several council meetings ago, multiple
The
council
last
meetings.
conversation was about the contract. We didn't know how much we were paying, and so we.
I
So
understand that,
So
sir,
that
yes,
was
sir.
that was on the agenda
Yeah.
last meeting.
And we asked for it to
About,
be-
we asked for it to be,
On
have a
today.
conversation today.
But you do, my statement is simply that you did approve Bureau Veritas as your building
So,
official.
so when do they
that's-
start?
They should be doing it already, is my understanding.
They've already started.
That's what I thought.
Well, we got an email saying that the numbers to be ran back by, and the mayor said to put it on the next city council.
I don't know
meeting
anything about
within
that,
the
sir.
email.
I don't know anything about that, sir. All I know is that you did approve of the hiring of Bureau Veritas as your building official.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman?
Again, I'm gonna say the same thing I said last year, as in provided by the minutes and documents from our mayor. I think I was the only councilman who voted no, because I believed we needed to have a meeting. We have a lot of business, unfinished business, and so whether we move our meeting to another location, we could do that. But again, this is, I'm saying that we need to keep our meeting because we have a lot of unfinished things that we need to move forward. That's all.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Randall?
First of all, I understand the amount of business in the city, but my thing is if we're going to propose something, then we should propose an alternative option. We didn't propose any alternative option, we're just saying we should have a meeting, but we haven't taken the opportunity to try to discuss the logistics about where we're gonna have the meeting, how the meeting's gonna take place. We're just saying we need to have a meeting. And so there's a process to moving the meeting, right? And which requires city council action, which between now and the next meeting, when are we going to vote to approve the council, or to approve the action that would allow us to move the location, change the time, or any of those things?
And did that need to be noticed on this agenda, council?
What, doing all that? If you wanted to do all of those things, yes, sir.
I mean, those are our only options in order to have the meeting, so that's not necessarily all of them, but either or, we would have had to have listed it on the agenda in order to do so. I'm just saying, nobody's saying anything about the alternative, we're just saying we need to have a meeting, but not where, when, or how.
And again, I'm sorry, Councilman Wallace?
So I guess if y'all wanted to have, or if the ideology is having a meeting, I guess the best solution to try to mediate both sides is that we would have to call a special meeting, either before early voting starts or after early voting starts, so there's not a long time frame between
It's a
those
certain
two.
day, early voting starts on the day of the meeting.
That's what I'm saying, so we have to choose a special meeting beforehand, early voting, so we won't have to do the run-in with all the logistics, or do it after early voting, if that's what the council wants. But that's on, but of course, then it'll come to the next step was actually being available to show up, if that's a possibility. I mean, if so, I mean, I'm for having, a meeting because of the business that needs to get done. But if we're gonna do a special meeting, because early voting starts the 22nd, correct? Okay, so it has to be,
It runs through the 27th, so.
right, so it has to be next week or the week after that.
There is, for council's edification, there's a planned and zoning meeting April 18th, Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
And everything from planned and zoning has to come back to council for approval. So even whatever planned and zoning recommends, they have to come back and recommend it to council. So there's no major activity, if you will, that can take place without council's approval, because all of their, whether it's zoning change or anything else that has to go before them, it has to come back to council.
So, the idea, so early voting ends the 27th, correct? So, it wouldn't, after the 22nd, the next meeting wouldn't be all the way to 13th. So, what if we had
So-
it on the 6th? Or, no, the 29th, which would be the week right after. And that would be almost directly in between, the meeting from May 13th.
We,
And,
we have to have a meeting to schedule the meeting.
Even if it's
Or we
on
could
the
do a
agenda.
3-day, 72-hour
It can
notice.
be called,
Right.
72-hour notice.
Yes. Yeah, you could hold another meeting.
That would still require us canceling this meeting.
The 22nd?
Yeah, we're just looking for a solution.
You could,
to-
Yeah,
you
we're
could,
trying
you
to
could,
talk about
you could,
alternative
you could
rules.
pass on this and then cancel it when you hold your meeting to determine when you're gonna hold your meeting. I have a question though, Mayor, did the newspaper, did the newspaper posting go out for the public hearing on the planning and zoning issues? For the
Yes.
city council, for the city council?
I'd have to check. I know it went out for planning and zoning on those properties and
Right, but
the
that would've been
notifications.
personal,
Sure.
that would've been written notice
Right,
to individuals within 200 feet.
yeah, that went out, but the newspaper, I'm not sure about the totality of what was in the newspaper, other than I know it went out.
Well, I guess what I'm
Attorney
asking
Osborne.
is did we put a notice in the newspaper that a public hearing would be held on a planning and zoning issue on the 22nd of April?
That I can't say as I sit here.
Okay. Because if it did, we have to renotice everything.
Yeah, we'd have to renotice the council meeting, and I guess if it's extended, we'd also have the requisite time as well. So we can work with that, but that's a good point to take a look at. Councilman Wallace?
So in a hypothetical, that everything is what it is right now, are we okay with having a meeting on the 29th of April, for everybody to be free? Same time, same location, just on the 29th.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's three of us.
Yeah.
In the process of, if we notice the special meeting on the 29th and cancel this meeting, we don't have to have a subsequent meeting to meet, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Look, I'm comfortable if y'all wanna cancel this meeting, coming to a consensus on postponing it to, rather than canceling it, postponing it to the 29th.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm
like
comfortable with that approach.
And it's kind of probably been-
Because this agenda notice says, hey, we're thinking about canceling the meeting on the 22nd. So anybody who is worried about your canceling of it would be here. And it seems to me a logical conclusion that rather than a cancellation, you just postpone it to a date certain. So I'm comfortable with that decision if you want to make
There'll
that
be a
decision.
motion to postpone.
Till whatever date you decide that you want to do it.
Do we have a motion on the floor? Do we need to amend?
You could amend that motion to have the motion read to postpone it instead, yes, sir.
And with the date
With the
certain,
date,
which
yes,
is
sir.
April 29th.
That's what I've heard.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Wallace?
I have to, so I have the motion, I have to change the motion, it has to be seconded by Mr. Jones.
I'm about to amend it, doesn't matter.
So I will amend my motion to postpone the city council meeting for April 22nd due to early voting, and have this meeting on May 29th at 6 p.m.
I mean, April 29th?
April 29th, 2019.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that the meeting for April 22nd be postponed to April 29th.
No, that's not what was moved and seconded was to amend it. So the vote will be to amend his motion, and then
Then we
you
have to
have
go
a
back to the
vote
main
on the
motion.
main motion.
Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm ready.
Councilman Randall?
So I'm looking at the notice of election, and it says there's early voting here, April 29th and the 30th. 7 p.m.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Oh.
It starts on the
So we need another date. So the 28th would work? Oh, no, it wouldn't, it's Sunday.
Let's see.
That's Easter.
Okay, so what's,
Did they have them out of here by 7, by 6?
if they're gonna meet the next day, it would be the same effect.
So we're back to the drawing board.
29th. So what about May 1st?
These days. Yeah.
You said the 29th and what day?
The third.
Sorry. So I mean, the only options at this point is the 6th, which is the one after it, or the 15th, which is next week.
Or you could hold, well, it's your policy decision, but you could hold it on a different day. I mean, you could hold it on the 1st or the 2nd, I suppose. It's up to y'all, I don't know what y'all's schedule is. You're not, well, I guess my legal point is that you're not limited to a Monday.
So, okay, so I guess
First or second?
a random day, but
First would be just 2 days later.
if it's either the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, I mean, I know people work, so the next meeting is the 13th, and that's the week before.
So if we push it all the way back to May, what's the difference?
And then make it in
Just waiting
there,
until the
what it
regular
is.
meeting.
What about changing the location? Is that feasible?
Where's another location that we can pull off for Monday? 22nd.
The,
Beautiful, lovely campus. Or you could do the alumni building.
We would have to reserve it and see if they're available first.
Oh, that's cool. Community center.
We definitely pay for that.
You don't have to pay it for it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you need to let them know.
got community center, senate chambers.
And that would be a great exposure for city council to the students and the relationship between the citizens and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we'll be in the building.
Where's the voting at?
They said-
Mayor?
Okay,
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
if you move location, then, would I have to be still present here for early voting and be present for the meeting?
It's,
Because I
So-
know you mentioned to me you wanted me to be present for the early voting.
early voting is over at 5 o'clock. The question is if we went on campus, are they actually voting on the second floor, which would be the same?
we go on first.
Okay, so they're both over at 5. For the 22nd through the 29th, it's 5. It's not 7 to 7 till 29th and the 30th. So if we were gonna use the chambers at Brevier University, it would be open, I'm assuming.
And which date are you talking about again?
Either the same day, the 22nd,
So,
our regular day.
The 22nd or 29th.
So, I mean, might as well then just keep it the same, the 22nd, just move it to senate chambers. So that's a possibility. Would you like to amend your motion?
The noticing, I guess I wanna amend my motion, but I have a question as far as noticing.